Hello everybody, Dylan here. Today we are doing a top 10. Today's top 10 is another Sonic one, and it's going to be top 10 Sonic transformations. Now I have a lot of good ones on here and a few obscure ones, so let's get right in. The top 10 Sonic transformations. Let's start it off. The first one, number 10, is Dark Spine Sonic. Dark Spine Sonic comes from Sonic and the Secret Rings. He's purple and white and furious as all hell. After his genie friend is murdered by the main villain, he transforms into this using the world rings. This has only been seen in one game, but it was awesome enough to at least get a 10. Mainly because my favorite color is purple. So let's move on to number 9. Now, number 9 is from a game I don't quite honestly like myself. It is Excalibur Sonic. This is from Sonic and the Black Knight. Now, you guys already know that I don't like this game, but I will admit when something badass appears, and Excalibur Sonic is badass. He is a golden knight with a badass sword and a glowing transformation of pure awesomeness. It's like Cooler, but a Super Saiyan. So yeah, this one's automatically gonna get on the list. It just sucks that it only appeared once and in that awful game. But I'm just saying, it's my opinion. I think the game's bad. Anybody else who thinks it's good can say it's good. But let's move on to number 8 before I get people mad again. And now our next character comes from one of the most underappreciated Sonic games, Sonic Unleashed. It's the Werehog transformation. Now, aesthetics alone, this one looks pretty good. It's just the unfortunate level design surrounding him and the stretchy arms that really made him kinda awkward. His fighting mechanics were good, and I quite honestly don't get mad at some of his levels. It's just more the final levels toward the end of the game that I got annoyed with. But the spikes on his shoes, the claws, the fact that he's just a werewolf, it could work with me, but I can understand why some people didn't like it. Especially because Link turned into a wolf a few years beforehand. It really made Sega look desperate. But I like the Werehog transformation. And he turns into this by absorbing Gaia energy. So it's not totally a knockoff. People just need to give this one a shot. If you haven't played Sonic Unleashed, go ahead and play it. The Werehog is a good feature, but you're more than likely just going to be there for modern Sonic. So enjoy the day stages if you do like just the day stages, and maybe you should give the night stages a shot again sometimes. He's not that bad. Anyway, on to number 7. And number 7 comes from one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, Sonic Colors. When you absorb this little alien, you turn into a giant rage monster, destroying and eating everything in your path, and it's just so fun to wreak havoc with the Frenzy Wisp. It's a really fun addition, but some people don't like it. I like it mainly because it's purple and it's just a raged monster. Anyway, let's move on to number 6. And here comes Fleetway appearing on yet again another top 10 list. This time he's on here for his transformation alone. In Sonic the Comic, the British comic, he is a dark transformation of Super Sonic. And slowly he becomes his own independent being. I love this idea of a darker Sonic, and I love his crazy eyes. Just his design alone is fun, but seeing how the character redeems himself and the way Sonic's character is affected by it is just really cool. And if you haven't read the comic, give it a shot. Fleetway is definitely a reason to read it, and he deserves the number 6 spot. Let's move on to number 5. Now, number 5 is the best thing to come out of Sonic X. It is Dark Sonic. After seeing how his friends was treated by the Meta-X, Sonic turns into a dark, chaotic form of himself. Now, this is possibly the coolest thing I've ever seen. I really wish it'd be brought over to the games. It's basically Super Sonic, but made purely of dark chaos energy. And it's just sad we never get to see it again, but in one episode of Sonic X. Anyway, that was Dark Sonic. On to number 4. Now, number 4 is one you guys probably haven't heard about. It's the Elemental Supersonic Transformations. Now, first I'm just going to give you a little bit of a backstory on this, then I'm going to explain each transformation and how they were made. Now, Nate Morgan, a character who is a scientist in the Sonic Archie comics and who looks like Morgan Freeman, created a Super Emerald and a bunch of rings that Sonic used to obtain these transformations. So, let me get into these each one. Now, the first time Sonic was running around the Earth, he ran through the polar ice caps. Now, this caused Polar Sonic to be made. His supersonic transformation changed with the type of environment he was running through, giving him ice powers, as you can see down below. This would have been a really awesome thing to see otherwise, but it only appeared in this one issue along with the other elemental transformations. So, let's move into the other two. Solar Sonic is a brown supersonic who was also affected by running through the desert. And finally, Eco Sonic. Eco Sonic ran through the rainforest and turned into a green Sonic. He is probably the lamest of all of them, because really, who would want the powers of nature? But whatever. So, created from this Super Emerald were 3 transformations: Polar, Solar, and Eco. And after that, he managed to go into his perfect transformation, which will be brought up later. After perfecting those 3 super forms, he turned into the best and perfect form, Ultra Sonic. Created from that Super Emerald, created by Nate Morgan, Sonic's new form is basically his base form, but he is made completely of magic aura. And I would love to see this Sonic come into play in any of the video games. Just those rings surrounding him and the stars, it reminds me of when he hits an invincibility box in the original games. It just looks so cool. I'd really advise you to go read this comic. It's made before the Super Genesis wave though, so you might have to look it up. We might talk about this guy later on in my other videos. So let's move on to number 2. Now, like with all of these, the hardest ones to pick is always 2 and 1. Now, these 2 are honestly my favorite transformations, but in the end, only one can be the number 1 spot. So number 2 is Hypersonic, premiering in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is what happens when Sonic collects the Hyper Emeralds and transforms into this Rainbow Caesar-inducing form. He can destroy almost any enemy on the screen as soon as you tap the A button. He's completely invulnerable and can breathe underwater. He was Bliss in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. And I really advise you to go play that game. He was only used in this one case in the video games, but it was a good way to go out. Now, on to number 1. And now, number 1 is Super Sonic. If it wasn't for Super Sonic, none of these other guys would have existed. Yes, taking some influence from Goku and Dragon Ball Z, Super Sonic is the golden transformation first introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and he's been a staple for almost every other game since. This has inspired many people to debate about it. It has inspired many people to unlock it. You have to get all the Chaos Emeralds in order to unlock this form, and it's been the plot of almost every single game Sega's made. To not put Super Sonic at number 1 would be a major crime for this top 10. So I hope you enjoyed this top 10 list. If you want more videos, go down below. I should have some videos up here. Or you can click subscribe and you can get more wonderful videos, and I would really appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it, and I hope you guys stay tuned. This has been Dylan from DHT. Bye.